Hello, this is Brian. Today is Tuesday, April 25th, 2023, and I'm here at Cuyamaca Rancho State Park, here near Green Valley Falls and in the Green Valley Campground area. Trying to see what I can get into today. So here we are on this absolutely brilliant spring day, just enjoying the views here. Nice little creek going through here. Look at that. Here we are in a mixed stand of Jeffrey and Coulter pine. Here's a pretty big Jeffrey pine. And wildlife seems to be enjoying the day. I just heard some turkeys off in the background. I don't know if the camera might have picked that up, but just take some time to just look at this Jeffrey pine. This is a pretty nice sized tree. I've seen this tree before because I was in this campground area once 8 years ago. Oh, here we are. Some turkeys. Those are some big turkeys too. Oh boy. Ooh, man, those are some big birds, man. All right, here's an interesting sight here. This is kind of interesting. This coast live oak right here, Quercus agrifolia variety Oxydania, growing butt up against this big Jeffrey pine right here. So this tree here, this Jeffrey pine, might give you a good sense on how large some of these trees were here before the cedar fire burnt 90-something% of them. It was a pretty big tree. But again, there are also Coulter pines here too. And they're kind of mixing in here a little bit too. Like, some of these Coulter pines are pretty big too, actually. Right there, that's a Coulter pine, believe it or not. It looks more like a Jeffrey pine, but I could tell by the cones in the tree that is definitely a Coulter pine. Coulter pine cones being humongous, extremely heavy. But yeah, finally up here with my conifers. I kind of missed being around the conifer trees, but I'm just gonna go hoof it along this Arroyo Seco fire road. I think this is what this is right here. Yes, it is. Walked along this for a while before I drove over to Paso Picacho and hiked Cuyamaca Peak, and that was back in 2015. That was quite a while ago. So let's just go take a walk along this for a while. The old fire road here. Yeah, it's kind of nice to be around my conifers again. As you go higher up towards Cuyamaca Peak itself, conifer diversity goes up quite a ways actually. So you'll get white fir, incense cedar, and sugar pine mixing in. It's kind of a taste of what the forest used to be like, and a lot more of this park back then. But yeah, you can see very beautiful here. A lot of recovery since the fire. As we go on, it's going to look more and more lush. Then here we got Rhus aromatica, skunk brush. Those little tiny greenish flowers just starting to flower and even starting to get a few new leaves on them. So when you go down the Arroyo Seco fire road, you'll get some pretty insane views. Now I went a little ways down when I went here that one time, and you get some really sick views of Cuyamaca Peak. So let's go take a trip down and let's see what we can find. There are a lot of turkeys out today. I can keep hearing them. Those turkeys are not native. They were introduced here back in the early mid-90s. I don't know if, I think it was for hunting purposes or something. And then they thrived and exploded in population. And they've established quite a decent population. I've even seen them over at Powell Mountain State Park too. You'll see them over there as well. Here they don't have to worry about being hunted because you can't hunt here in the state park. I think I hear some walking in the shrubs. Hear some movement in there. All right, I'm gonna move on and we'll see what kind of cool stuff I find today. All right, so I'm turning off briefly on this little campground area trail. This is just a little campground trail here. And there's a reason why. And hopefully it'll become pretty clear momentarily when I hike through this area. You'll see why, hopefully. The reason why I'm making this the next stop on my little area tour. There's something very interesting down here. Beautiful coast live oaks here. Alright, I don't know if I'll get close enough, but just wanted to admire this huge Jeffrey pine right here. It looks a lot bigger from the other angle because it has two, looks like it has two leader splits. It's a pretty tall tree. It's probably about 130, 140 feet tall. But, oh, and there's something I didn't catch because I couldn't see it, and you'll see again in a minute. But yeah, here's a huge Jeffrey pine right here. Very beautiful Pinus Jeffrey. Now what I failed to notice until now is right next to it is a huge coulter pine. Oh, wow, that's a big one. This is a big tree right here. I need to go investigate this. Oh, this is insane. This is a huge coulter pine. Now first, look at the trunk on that Jeffrey pine. That thing is huge. At least as big as a lot of the ones I've seen in the San Bernardino Mountains. That is a monster Jeffrey pine. Now, this is a monster coulter pine. Then it's coultery. There's your evidence right there. This thing is girthy. This thing is at least as girthy as almost as girthy as the Jeffrey pine. Jeffrey pines are known to get much larger than coulter pines, but trunk on this coulter pine is massive. Oh, this is a big one. Wow. And I've seen some coulter pines get pretty big, but gosh, that's a pretty good sized trunk for a coulter pine. And then, yeah, that Jeffrey pine, that is a monster Jeffrey pine. That thing's a big one. There's a little creek flowing very nicely through here. Of course, there's some huge southern coast live oaks here. Quercus agrifolia vardioxydana, some big ones too. Big coast live oaks mixing in here as well. But that Jeffrey pine, that thing has got a massive trunk on it. I'm really tripping off of it right now. I am absolutely tripping off of it. And then some of the more micro flora here is pretty interesting too, because we have this wild strawberry plant right here. This is Fragaria vesca. This is a native strawberry that has edible fruit on it, which is a small strawberry. Much smaller than those big fat juicy ones sometimes you get at the grocery store, obviously, but now we got wild strawberry growing here too. And it looks like it's starting to bloom. There's one that's blooming over here too. Looks like I see one flower there in the center. It's kind of hard to see. It's kind of unstable over here, but it's starting to bloom too. Fragaria vesca. It's one of our native species of strawberries here in Southern California. I think there might be another one. There might be another one. Might be another one. But yeah. And the smell of the pine smell right now is incredible. It smells really refreshing. It smells great. Just had to check out that huge coulter pine. Well, I think this is the Arroyo Seco Creek, I think is the name of this. Very beautiful. Oh, look at the trunk of this Quercus agrifolia variety Oxyodania. This coast live oak right here. This is a huge base. This is probably one of the wetter areas of Cuyamaca. Look at the base of this coast live oak. This is insane. Oh, wow. This here alone, each of these trunks represent a large tree in their own. Here's a plant that's related to strawberries right here. It's in the genus Drumicallis. I believe that's might be a subspecies of Drumicallis glandulosa, perhaps. Have to wait till it blooms to get a little more of a detail on it. But yeah, this kind of looks sketchy. I don't know if I'll run across that. Probably break it. But yeah, very beautiful here. Very beautiful here. Very luscious and green. I wonder why they call it Green Valley. And I don't mean that in a pun joking way. It's serious. There's that huge coulter pine. It may not have a lot of height to it, but boy, it has some girth. Very beautiful coulter pines here. All right. Well, I'm going to move on and start poking around for some more stuff. I'll catch you along the way. I'm going to get back on the fire road. So yeah, just wandered my way up the fire road. Yeah, look how beautiful those are. Mostly Jeffrey pines, but there are definitely some coulters in there. The tallest ones are going to be the Jeffrey pines. There are coulters in there though too. And there's the last peak I visited when I was here 2 weeks ago. That was only 2 weeks ago. Oaks Anita Peak, 5,054 feet. Looking very impressive from here. That was a really beautiful hike. Really beautiful hike. Very beautiful and peaceful out here. Fortunately, we do have a lot of coast live oaks died off. Unfortunately. And I know I saw a canyon live oak when I right near where I parked. I parked by the Green Valley, what is it, the Falls picnic area. You get into the park at the entrance booth, you make a right and follow it down. You'll see a sign for the picnic area. That's where I'm parked. Really had a hard time deciding what I was going to do today. I really didn't know. I was flirting with the idea of trying to do Middle Peak and Cuyamaca. Then I was flirting with going to a coastal canyon or do a hike near Noble Canyon, which is super far from here, up to some random peak. But then I just couldn't make up my mind, and I didn't want to come back to the Green Valley area for quite a while. It was my first place I stopped at Cuyamaca Rancho. The first time I was really here. Before driving up to Paso Picacho and hiking to Cuyamaca via Lookout Fire Road. And I just remember how insanely beautiful it is down here. We're at about an elevation of about 3,950 feet above sea level. Should be climbing up to 4K pretty soon. But that was in a drought year. I don't remember. That was in April of 2015, early April. It was a much drier rainy season. I don't remember hearing water trickling around any part of this short hike I did that day. So it was much different. This was a much wetter rainy season. Much wetter. Wouldn't be surprised if this area got close to 60 inches of rain. That's what I heard Palomar Mountain got. About 60 inches of precipitation, including snow equivalent. So, yeah. And you can see, if you see that bright green, kind of bright green and slightly pinkish tinge on the hillside there, those are our California black oaks leafing out. Perkiskalagi, they're leafing out right now up there. Changing color on the hillside. And in 6 months, that hillside will be changing gold, kind of goldish color when the leaves change color and fall off. I believe that's looking towards Pine Ridge. I am possibly, I might try to see if I can link up there somehow. That was kind of my game plan originally before I started messing around the campground. Shot a video on some large southern coast live oaks near the picnic area. But yeah, I think it's looking over towards Pine Ridge over there. High point's like 4,573 feet. Might make a run at that maybe, if I can find the trail leading off over that way. There's a trail that kind of leads up the hill, and then as you hit the high point of the trail, you're supposed to leave the trail and do a very short cross-country walk to get to the high point. So, oh! Oh, look at that! Oh! Oh, San Diego gopher snake! How beautiful is that? Oh! It's okay, buddy. Don't worry, buddy. I'll leave you alone. All right. Nice. Now you know why I bring the camera with me everywhere I go. That's precisely why. I don't want to bother him or her too much. Last time I was here in Cuyamaca, I saw California striped racer, but it was on a much narrower trail, and it was gone before I could get camera footage of it, unfortunately. Very nice. See, it's weird. Sometimes I find good herpetological finds like that when I'm not even thinking about it. I was thinking about trying to link up to Pine Ridge, and more botanically minded today. And that's a lot of times when I seem to find things herpetologically in wildlife. So, okay, very interesting. All right, I'm gonna keep pushing on, and maybe I'll get lucky and I'll find a trail that leads up there. It'd be really cool to get to Pine Ridge today. So I'll see you on the next clip. Okay, so walking along, very mellow, relaxing grade. Now we're starting to get views of the peaks, some of the higher peaks of Cuyamaca. This might be Airplane Ridge. That might be Airplane Ridge. And you get those two peaks there. The one closer is Hopashaw. And Hopashaw looks pretty prominent from here, but its connecting ridge over between it and Cuyamaca is only maybe about 60 feet. But from right here, it looks pretty big. So that's Hopashaw. I think it's on the Sierra Club 100 Peaks section, I believe. And that's like, yeah, it's, I think it is one of those peaks, if I remember correctly. And it's right next to its big brother, Monster Cuyamaca, right there. That's Cuyamaca Peak, 6,512 feet. And that's looking over towards Cherry Flat, which is the northern shoulder of Cuyamaca. That area is called Cherry Flat. Okay, so now I see a trail junction here. If I keep going this way, it'll stay on the Arroyo Seco Fire Road. And I believe you can use this. I believe you can use this to link up to Cuyamaca Peak if you study the maps. Because I've been thinking about that one day, trying to do Cuyamaca Peak from down here at Green Valley. I was thinking about doing that one day. That would be an interesting hike. You'd have to follow this, and I believe it branches off to some single track trails that are pretty faint, and then you just make your way through that pass there and go around the other side of Hopashaw Peak and probably hit Hopashaw Peak along the way there, and then keep along the trail. I don't know all the names of the trails, and then you eventually link up with Lookout Fire Road and hit the peak. So let's see here. It says South Boundary Fire Road to Pine Ridge Trail, and that's in 0.1 of a mile, 1/10 of a mile. So I am going the way, I was originally going to go the other way and then come back down this way, but I didn't really go to the west side of the campground and really look around like I originally planned to do. I was going to try to hit, maybe hit Pine Ridge from that side and then come back down this way and make a loop. So maybe I'll just go and do the loop the other way. So I'm going to be looking for the Pine Ridge Trail in a short distance. So let's see how this works out. Now we're starting to get this bloom in here. And this is called, I think they call it Snow in Summer, is one plant name for this. But it's Leptosiphon floribundus. And it's just starting to bloom now. And when I was here back in April 2015, after a much warmer and drier winter, this thing was full bloom. in early April. It was already full bloom, and now it's just starting to. That's a perennial in the Polemoniaceae, the phlox family. It was related to the phlox. Again, it's Leptosiphon floribundus. So that's a pretty cool plant, and it'll cover the ground in white flowers in mid-spring. And you might have also noticed a lot of blue. Maybe you've seen some blue in the pictures. It's because of this plant I hold in very high esteem. The chaparral whitethorn, and these flowers haven't even really opened up yet. They're still in bud, but they're already showing off some beautiful colors. Chaparral whitethorn. This is the time of year when chaparral whitethorn steals the show. Most of the year, a lot of hikers disdain it for having to get scraped up in it when they're trying to do cross-country bushwhacking and stuff. However, in the springtime, it blows a scene up, covers hillsides blue. So this is chaparral whitethorn, Ceanothus leucodermis. This is an absolute showstopper in mid-spring here in the mountains. Probably going to be seeing a lot of that on this hike because I'm going to be predominantly in the chaparral once I start gaining the ridge. Now, from what I understand, this isn't a major hardcore mountain climb. It's probably only going to be about 600 to 700 feet total elevation gain. So shouldn't be too bad. 3-4 mile hike, I believe, but I'll have to map it out. It's a nice day out here. It's cool. It's probably in the 60s. And of course, Ceanothus oleganthus, variety oleganthus. It's another blue flowered Ceanothus. Check my spotlight video for that when I spotlighted that in the Santa Ana Mountains last spring. That's Ceanothus oleganthus, variety oleganthus. Likely variety oleganthus. I don't think variety serratiatus is found here. But look at this. Look at the halogen blue, purple color of our chaparral whitethorns. Absolutely amazing. Here's another oleganthus right here. Wow. Yeah, when I came up here to Cuyamaca last time, the weather was transitioning from mostly winter-like conditions, much cooler than average temperatures, to much more spring-like. All right. I think this is my trail right here. Yep. So when you get to this junction here, you're gonna bank a left. This is the Pine Ridge Trail. This is the one that'll take you really close to the summit. But at the end, there's gonna be a little bit of a bushwhack, I heard. So yes, we're gonna start heading up this way to Pine Ridge. All right. An interesting feature on my camera. After about 7-8 minutes, the clip shuts off. This is a new camera. You might have seen my video last week. I lost most of my footage. I don't know if the camera malfunctioned or the memory card. So I just bought another camera. Not very expensive. Slightly more updated version of the Kodak Easy Share I had before. This one, it'll start a new clip for you. So here we go. This is the Pine Ridge Trail. It's very pretty. Some young pines here too, though. This area was much more hit by the cedar fire. All right. Very beautiful here. Here's mighty Cuyamaca. I think this time next week it's even supposed to be a little cooler. So it was getting pretty hot for a few days. I think we're supposed to get more heat this week over the weekend, which I normally am at work, so I don't really trip off that. And then I think next Tuesday is supposed to be nice and cool, maybe even cooler than this week. But look at that, beautiful Cuyamaca. I can still see some of the surviving conifers up there. Well, once you get up to certain spots on Cuyamaca, you will see some patches of surviving forest that the fire only maybe burnt through a little bit. You'll see a few snags, but you'll see some relatively intact forest up there. If you're going up from the fire road, the lookout fire road that is, from near Paso Picacho Campground, you'll end up getting to that forest at about 6,000 feet elevation. Now, if you're to do it here from Green Valley, you might even find that before it. You've taken some other trails. All right. Look at that healthy little black oak. I don't know if this was a resprout or a germination, post-fire germination. Can't tell. It's leafing out now finally. Again, a lot of that bright green stuff on the hill are black oaks leafing out. Wow. This area is probably very well wooded with black oak back in the day. So there's a lot of black oak over here. Here we got pinkback manzanita right here. Arctostaphylos pringli subspecies Drepacea. It's another pretty common manzanita. I know I always point out this one here, Arctostaphylos pungens. That's the Mexican or point leaf manzanita. Because that's the one that in certain areas is the by far most dominant manzanita here in the Cuyamaca Mountains that I've seen, especially after the cedar fire. I was never here before the cedar fire, so I forgot to experience it. We do have some young coulter pines here too, though. Really making a fierce comeback. So yeah, if you notice some pinkish hues on the California black oaks, there's a reason why their first and their newest leaves are pinkish colored. It's because oak leaves might seem like pretty good forage for deer and herbivores. So, to avoid all their leaves getting chomped off and having to produce a lot of extra energy for new ones, try to protect the ones they have with some type of I believe a cyanin compound that makes them untasteful to herbivores. And eventually, leaves get bigger and turn green. So that kind of reddish, pinkish, purplish hue is to deter animals from chomping them. This is beautiful here. It's a little more wooded than I thought. Not to mention some of these chaparral whitethorn ceanothus shrubs are huge, really tall. All right, well, I'm gonna keep on trucking. Maybe shoot a few pictures of this beautiful area, and I'll get back to you, and we'll start seeing what happens when I climb up further up this beautiful trail. All right. So as I'm climbing up this, a lot of bees buzzing. This spring has been very, very good. So basically what I'm going to be doing is looking for where this trail tops out before it starts going downhill, down towards the other portion of Green Valley. So what I got to do is be on the lookout for that. Let me tell you, this is an absolutely gorgeous hike. Absolutely insanely beautiful hike. There's a lot of black oak around here. A lot of these I could definitely tell were resprouts because I saw the bases were hollowed out. But we just got a lot of absolutely beautiful spring flowers on the shrubs, colorful new leaves on the oaks. There's a little coast live oak here, a few of those too. A lot of smaller coast live oaks, probably also resprouted like the black oaks. There's a lot of black oak here too. So it's colorful now, but also in autumn, late October, it's going to be insanely colorful here too, again. It's a pretty easy trail. It's very, very gentle. Very gentle incline so far. Doing this in the middle of a summer day would probably be tougher because it'd probably be very hot. But it's a little warm because of the sun. But you got a better view of Cuyamaca Peak now as we climb this. Notice a fair amount of young pines here too. Mostly coulters. That's a good sign. It's a very beautiful hike here. Can't stress that enough. Especially with all the new leaves on the oaks and the pink-backed manzanita blooming, along with the hairy ceanothus, the eleganthus one. Tell you one thing, the shade still feels nice though. It is so pretty here. Very beautiful. This hike here is absolutely breathtaking. Great views into the eastern portion of Cuyamaca. Looking over towards East Mesa, somewhere out there. You can even see the Jeffrey pine forest on the crest of the lagunas from here too. Beyond the ridge that's way in the background. Beyond this one. You can see the Laguna crest from here too. But yeah, this is, I believe, Airplane Ridge right here. At top of it's, I think it's barely 5,000 feet. Where we're going today, it's not even quite at 5,000 feet. It's at 4,573 if I make the summit. Able to find the way to get up there. I think going the way I came brings you to the summit more earlier in the hike, I think. I think it brings you to the summit a little earlier in the hike, because if I went up the other way, I think it would have been a little bit longer. It's going to be interesting to see if I can make my way to the summit. It's a very short distance, supposedly. We'll see. I'll see what happens on the next clip. All right, so just ran into that bend shortly after I got done with the last clip. I think I'm getting close. Gotta find a cross-country route. I think I'm near the top. I don't know if it's gonna be over here, over there. Let me see. Yeah, the trail is starting to go downhill now. So, supposed to leave the trail near this section. So, yeah, this is gonna be cute, trying to find a way to bushwhack up here. This is gonna be cute. All right, so thus the little mini adventure begins. So I try to summit Pine Ridge. Let me see. All right, just careful where I step so I don't trip. I just gotta look to see where the highest point is. It's supposed to be a pretty short off-trail excursion. Okay, so now, oh yeah, this is going to be really cute. Let me see. This is where the walking around is going to be required. Huge manzanita trunks over here. Oh boy. Okay, the bushwhacking begins, buddy. Let's see. Some large shrubs and trees over here. Just trying to watch where I step. Oh boy. I don't think I'm that far from it, I don't think. Yeah, I'm gonna probably have some scraped up arms. Probably long sleeves would be a better idea for this. But I get too hot in long sleeves. I think it's slightly higher over there. Let me see if I can boogie my way over there a little bit. Woo. Yikes. Let's see. This looks like it's gonna be kind of a trap here, I think. Oh boy. I think it's a little higher over there. Woo! Yeah, I can see the ground slopes up a little bit over there. Wondering if I should have left the trail a little bit later. A little bit more towards the other side. I'm not really seeing a pretty plausible route to get through this. Imagine this is probably similar to what Biddle Peak will be like. Probably very similar to this. Definitely bushwhacking, from what I understand. Alright. I see some sunny ground over there. Alright. Okay. There's some white thorn over here that's going to make it a little scrapey. Of course, I have to go through all this again when I go back. I don't know. Oh boy. I might go back on the trail a little bit and see if I can work my way a little bit. See if I can work my way a little bit. I'm going to call this a pseudo summit. We are really close to the high point. But I am going to go down the trail a little bit and see if there's a way to get over there. So I'm going to take a picture or two. I'm going to call this a pseudo summit in case I can't find anything, because this is pretty high up here. This is almost the exact high point. All right. So I'm kind of trying to look for a way to get to this side here. I went up just past that small pine tree there. So this is where the trail's going downhill. So now I gotta look to see if I can find another way to get up to this part here, a little further south-ish from where I was. That was some pretty tough bushwhacking, I ain't gonna lie. Hoping maybe I can find a way to get up there. Maybe on this side here. Maybe on the south-facing slope. So I was pretty close. Elevation-wise, I was very close. I was maybe about 5 to 10 feet below where the summit would be. And the summit looked like it was more on this side here. So let's see. If I leave the trail here, let's see what happens. So the brush here is much lighter so far. Doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Obviously, it thickens up as we go uphill a little bit. But here it's a little more of a wade. Kind of like a lot of the chaparrallas on those random peaks in the Laguna Mountains. Let's see if I can make a high point from here. So far, so good. I'm not a big fan of bushwhacking, but sometimes if you want to get to a summit, you'll do what you got to do. This looks a little more promising. Woo! Yeah, last bit from that other spot was pretty gnarly. Ooh, interior live oak. Okay. Pretty nice. It's the first one I've seen today. This is much easier. Much easier. The way I went just wasn't feasible. So, for coming up from the south on Pine Ridge Trail, look near the saddle between this hill here and this, and look for low chaparral here. This should be, so far, whoa, the best way. So I'm actually near the top right now, I think. Almost there. Oops. Oh, this is much easier. Though, it is starting to thicken up over here now. Ooh-wee. Ay, ay, ay. Still not too bad, though. I think I'm just about there. Really close to it. All right. Oh, boy. I'm right near the summit right now. All right, this is it right here. I was wondering if there's going to be a peak bagger register up here. So this is it. Pine Ridge, 4,573 feet. Much easier coming up more from the south or southeast or whatever that was. Much easier coming up this way. But yeah. And the summit is right where this scrub oak is right here. So mark my third peak climb here in Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. I can see 79 down there. There's beautiful Oxanita Peak. Long Valley Peak over there, more towards the southeast-ish. Guatay Mountain, more to the south. Corte Madera, Los Pinos, we can see them. There's a lot of haze and marine layer, but I can see Viejas Mountain over towards the west, and El Cajon Mountain just before the marine layer thickens up. So yeah, this is a pretty cool little summit. So you do get some views up here. There's a lot of chaparral kind of blocking the view of Cuyamaca, but I mean, really, who cares? It's a peak. I'm on a peak. A peak I've never been on before, so yeah, this is Pine Ridge High Point, 4,573 feet. As we pan off towards the east, we're looking at the Laguna Crest behind East Mesa over there. So I guess I better take a few shots and then start making my way back to the trail, and then just follow the trail back to the campground. All right, so in the last picture, this is probably the best place to leave the trail if you want less bushwhacking. So on the way back, I kind of got off the course that I came up. So I did have a little more bushwhacking on the way down, but just a little route finding. That's all. So like I said, it's a very short walk to get to the summit. The trail goes so close to the summit. Sometimes you got to wonder why these trails don't actually go to the summit. I mean, granted, it's not known as a so-called big ticket peak, but you know, there's some of us that are dedicated to climbing peaks. But cool little adventure. So there's this little hill here. The trail's going to pass near the base of that. I'm actually contemplating seeing if I can make a run at that one too. It's a little bit lower than Pine Ridge High Point, but it is a part of Pine Ridge. It's tempting. I got to see what the bushwhacking is like though. If it's really insane, I don't know about that. I think there's maybe about 100 feet or so elevation climbing to get up there, so it's got about a prominence of about 100 feet or so, give or take. Probably give, actually, but it's pretty close to 100 feet. So we'll see. Nice day for peak climbing out here in Cuyamaca. In about a month, this is going to start getting really hot out here. So you're going to probably want to stick to the higher peaks like Cuyamaca, Stonewall, that are a little bit higher and stuff like that. But this does make a cool little adventure. I mean, if you get started early enough in the morning, it's not a long hike. It's probably only going to be between 3 and 4 miles round trip, I think. I think I read about this on, was it a Peakbaggers blog, or sometimes a peakbagger.com users have their own blogs, and if you click on Peakbagger on the climber's name who visited the peak, it'll provide a link to the Peakbaggers, to the Peakbagger users blog site, which is pretty cool. You can see how other people do this as well. Here's good old Oxanita. Beautiful Oxanita Peak. Let me see. Looks very thickly wooded over here, thickly chaparraled. So this might not be the most awesome option. So yeah, that's where it is, right up there. So I was more over there on the first attempt. Second attempt, thankfully, ended in success. I don't know. I don't know if I want to bushwhack anymore today. I could always come back and visit it. If I wrap around the other side, if this wraps around enough to the other side where it's not going to mean like 300 feet of climbing, maybe I can take a stab at it from more of a south-facing slope. This is more of a shady slope, so the chaparral is going to be a lot thicker. That's another thing you got to consider. If you're going to do cross-country in chaparral, sometimes, not all the times, this doesn't always work, but it can be used as a pretty good reference to what approach to take to get to a certain peak or place you're trying to visit that requires some off-trail travel. A lot of times the chaparral on the south-facing slope, which is sunnier and drier, might have thinner, lower statured shrubs that make it a little bit easier to maneuver. North-facing slopes that retain moisture a lot longer would be a lot more difficult because the chaparral is going to be very thick, luxuriant. As you see here, it's kind of a north-facing slope here. So there's no way in heck I would try to leave the trail here. So if you can, and of course if you're doing this during the summertime, you're going to pay for it in heat zapping trampling in chaparral. But if you really want to get to a peak, sometimes, if it's possible, approach it from the south side if it's a chaparral covered hill or peak that you're trying to visit. That's what I've noticed. So I was looking at this other hill. I think this other hill's about slightly lower, maybe about 4,510 feet or so. A little bit lower. But there's a way to approach it on the south side. It might be your best bet. The chaparral will likely be thinner and sometimes even more space to wiggle around. Especially if it's a post-fire, you know, like the chaparral's in its 2003 cedar fire recovery. The chaparral's going to be much more noticeably lighter, usually, on the south side of the mountain or the hill you're trying to climb. This is a very beautiful trail. So I think I'm going to probably just nix trying to go up this other hill. But it is a very beautiful hike, and there's a lot of black oak here. So when these trees get larger, it's going to start getting shadier on this portion of the hike. So that'll be something to really look forward to if you want to hike here in the warmer portion of the year. So, and if you really wanted to make this a really short hike, you could probably just done this as an out and back. But I'm going to make the loop out of this, just because I like to make loops when I can to vary up the scenery. See Highway 79 wiggling its way around. And here's Airplane Ridge here. There's supposed to be a monument up there to a crash in 19. And that crash is, I guess, from two Army guys who were flying, I think it was December of 22, crashed into the mountain. And the engine is on display off the side of the trail somewhere up there. So, and that's near the high portion, higher up on Airplane Ridge there, which is a ridge that is just below Cuyamaca's ridge. Look at this huge pinkback manzanita here. Arctostaphylos pringlei drupacea. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. I can see the campground area from up here. Very beautiful. All right. You see the big Jeffrey pines down there. So the rest of this hike is going to be basically on this trail until I get down to the western edge of the campground, and then just have to figure my way through the campground to get back to the day use area, but that shouldn't be that bad. Very cool trail. All right, well, I'm going to keep on going down this, and I'll see you on the next clip. Alright, so I'm coming down some switchbacks, and I'm finally starting to see some canyon live oak. Some beautiful little canyon live oak, Quercus chrysolipus. It's nice to see some of them again. I haven't really been seeing much of them lately. Here's a younger one. Here's another young one right here. I know there was one near Green Valley Campground area, right by the picnic area. So yeah, I've got a couple canyon live oaks. And then, haven't really been pointing these out, but the cup-leaf ceanothus really exploding right now up here. Ceanothus perplexans is absolutely gone buck wild insane in flowering. Just a couple weeks ago, I didn't really see much of any blooming on them. 2 weeks, much different story. So now we're entering a little bit more of a wooded area with a few more canyon live oaks. Some Quercus chrysolipus. So we got some Quercus chrysolipus over here. Of course, we've got a lot of scrub oaks here. I'm wondering if this is a part of the Quercus acutidens complex, but I'm not 100% sure. Ones here are quite different looking. Ooh, Rus aromatica, skunk brush, leafing out finally. Oh, and of course, interior live oak, Quercus whistleseni variety frutescens. This is another one here. But yeah, and a coast live oak, so there's quite a bit of oak around here. Not to mention, see, there's another canyon live oak there, but then, yeah, of course, the California black oak. And look at this humongous pink-backed manzanita. This thing's a big one. Look at that. Arctostaphylos pringli subspecies drupacea. Yeah, these things get humongous. These things can get to the size of small trees. One place where you really see them get humongous is near Idlewild in the San Jacinto Mountains in Riverside County in the San Bernardino National Forest. They get humongous, like this and even bigger. So yeah, this is Arctostaphylos pringli subspecies drupacea. And now you can tell that this is pringli subspecies drupacea as opposed to other manzanitas. As you notice, the flower buds are on the new growth. The flower buds are new growth. They don't preform in the fall like on other species of manzanita. So if you're hiking in manzanita chaparral and woodland during late summer and fall when the flowers are all gone, you'll notice flower buds on the plants thinking, oh, they're going to bloom again? No. Those plants preform their flower buds in the summer and fall. And then And in the spring, the flower buds enlarge a little bit more and open up. These ones you see here, they're forming them right now in the spring. This is the only manzanita here in Southern California that does that. That opens up its flower buds, or forms its flower buds in the spring and opens them up pretty much right away. That's how I know, without looking at anything else on this manzanita, that this is Arctostaphylos pringli drepacea, the pinkbract. That's the only species here in Southern California that does that. All the other species, they get their flower buds started in summer and fall, and then in the springtime, the flower buds, flower clusters enlarge and open up. The flower bud clusters enlarge and open up in the spring. Nice little beautiful black oak here, leafing out, all green and fresh. So we're more of a wooded stretch of this hike. Now we've got more canyon live oak. Some more pinkbract. Pinkbract, I think, is one of our largest manzanitas. It's pretty much a toss-up. I believe it's a toss-up between, here in far further Southern California, between pinkbract and big berry manzanitas being our largest species. But here's a nice little canyon live oak right here. So yeah. But then the Mexican / point leaf manzanita gets very large as well. So it's kind of between those three, but I think pinkbract and big berries might get a little bit larger. Here we are entering coulter pines right here. Beautiful coulter pine grove. Yeah, beautiful. Here's a young one. I love seeing the young pine trees, the young coulter and Jeffrey pines here. It's very satisfying to see because you know the recovery is coming along. It might be a little bit slower than a lot of people had anticipated, but a lot of intervening droughts and stuff like that kind of made it hard. But yeah, these ones right here, these ones are definitely pre-cedar fire trees right here. Especially these ones here. These are pre-cedar fired trees. So these, we'll actually get to see the fire scars on the bark when we come up to them. You can tell the lower trunks had gotten blazed up a little bit. Let's see. This is from the 2003 cedar fire, unless it was from a prescribed burn afterwards. And sometimes that happens too. They'll do prescribed burns. But I'm sure it's probably from the cedar fire, because this area looks like it's well into its regrowth. It doesn't look like it's been hushed back by prescribed burns, I don't think. I know they do that sometimes here in Cuyamaca, the other state parks, and also in Cleveland National Forest, which is actually on the west side of Cuyamaca is actually Cleveland National Forest, Cuyamaca Peak. So the higher parts of the ridge, the peak, and east is Cuyamaca Rancho State Park, and the western slope, especially the mid and lower portions on the west slope, are actually Cleveland National Forest. And Cuyamaca Peak is at the latitude between the boundaries of two different ranger districts of Cleveland National Forest. To the north, going up to nearly the Riverside County border, is the Palomar Ranger District of Cleveland National Forest. And you go south from just west of Cuyamaca Peak down to near Baja's border is the Descanso Ranger District. But yeah, look at these trees are doing really well. This is a very, very beautiful portion of the trail. So now we're getting views down probably more towards Cleveland National Forest now if you look to the west. All right, I'll go around the bend and we'll see what else we find. Ooh, large bird of prey. Can't tell what it is though from here. All right. Yeah, now we're back. Now we're back mostly point leaf for Mexican manzanita, Arctostaphylos pungens. Ooh, it's getting warm over here. We're on this more south-facing slope of the mountain. Little coast live oak right here. Little guy, beautiful little guy. Probably not that far from the Cleveland National Forest boundary, I don't think. Yeah, so that's where I was, right up there. That's Pine Ridge, right up there. That's where the peak is. And that one just to the right of it is that lower hill I was considering climbing, but then again decided maybe not. It's good views to the west now. Very good views. All that light colored splotching there is pretty much all Ceanothus. Why am I having a brain lapse right now? Ceanothus perplexans. A couple of Ceanothus in bloom. That's pretty much almost probably all, if not all, of these white flowered shrubs covering the hillsides here. But yeah, that's where I was, just up on there. That's Pine Ridge. That's the high point right there. Got some nice meadow action down there. There's another fire road too. Yeah, there are a few other fire roads in the area that spread off from the Green Valley area or lead towards it. Mighty Cuyamaca off in the distance there. Very nice breeze blowing up here. Feels really nice and cool. Oh, beautiful rocks here too. I definitely am really getting the desire to get back up to Cuyamaca Peak itself. Really want to get back up there again. It'd be nice to get up there for the second time. Really beautiful. I see lots of beautiful oaks and even some, looks like some Jeffrey and Coulter pines down there as well. A lot of that's going to be southern coast live oak down there. The bright green stuff is mostly going to be willows. There might be some alders in there. I know there are alders over by the picnic area. There are actually some white alder trees. Those ones are later leafing out. They're just barely starting. Those willows down there are already leafing out nicely, but the white alders are just barely starting to leaf out. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and keep on going down this, and I'll see you along the way. Okay, looks like we're making our way down. Probably shouldn't be too much longer before I'm back in the campground. A couple little climbs along the way, little short uphills like this. Not too bad. More black oak. Let's see. They're on the woodsy part. Yep, this is about the end of it here. This is where I'm gonna get back in the campground, and then just gotta walk my way to the car. So this is gonna basically do it. Thanks for watching. The campground is right here. I don't want to bug a bunch of people with my filming, so thanks for watching. I'm just gonna follow this back to where I'm parked at the other side. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next hike. Let me scratch that. Let me, before I actually go, just take a walk through this campground a little bit and just kind of look at it a little bit. Never really been much in the campground before. Gotta find where the exit is. I've not really been here before. Just kind of walk around and see what's up. Big point leaf manzanita, big one. I actually never really walked through the campground before. Hear that raven. Common raven calling. There's a nice Jeffrey pine right there. Wow. Just gotta find where the exit is. Very beautiful campground. Yeah, that's a beautiful Jeffrey pine. It's a pretty big tree. Gorgeous tree too. Has a coulter pine right there. Not too shabby either in size. Ooh, I just caught a whiff of the vanilla smell coming from the Jeffrey pine. Sometimes you can smell, some people can smell vanilla from ponderosas too. But I've never smelled it yet personally. So I'll just follow this way downhill. Figured before I actually shut down the videos, just take a nice walk through Green Valley Campground to see. Man, some beautiful conifers here. Oh man, coulter and Jeffrey pines. They get pretty tall here at Cuyamaca. I think the ones near Middle Peak and Cuyamaca Peak, where the fire burnt most of it, were supposed to be even much bigger. Oh, canyon live oak. Nice. Good to see one of those mixing in. Most of these are coast live oaks. But yeah. Pretty sure back in the day, some of those sugar pines near Middle Peak and the lower portion of Cuyamaca Peak must have been probably at least 200 feet tall. I've seen a YouTube video of a guy standing next to a sugar pine snag after the cedar fire, and it was bigger than, the trunk on it was bigger than a lot of the ones I've even seen in the Sierra Nevada. Look at these beautiful pines. Look like Jeffrey's, I think. I don't see any big coulter cones in them. These are Jeffrey pines here. I think ponderosa might have been vouchered in this area too, in Cuyamaca Rancho. So I'd actually expect ponderosa more at this elevation, but San Diego County, Jeffrey pines grow at very low elevations compared to how they normally grow in Sierra Nevada. Usually above I think 5,000 or 6,000 feet when you're up like Tulare County northward. There's a nice tall coast live oak. Yeah. All right. Yeah, this campground's absolutely gorgeous. Kind of gives me a vibe similar to the vibe I would get visiting Buckhorn Campground in Angeles National Forest, and the awesome vibe I get at Blue Jay Campground in the Santa Ana Mountains in Cleveland National Forest. Obviously, there are lots of oaks and pines there as well. There's a beautiful coulter. Here's a really old Southern Coast live oak right here. Wow. All right. Just trying to see which way to get towards the end of this. I'm not sure exactly. I've never been through here before. Guess we'll head along this way. All right. Definitely gonna want to sit down and get something to drink soon. I'm getting thirsty. Okay. All right. That's where I should be heading, right there. Falls area. That's kind of where I'm parked. I don't think I'm that far, actually. The falls area. We've got a lot of coulter pine. There's a few coulter pines that are leaning here. Pretty interesting. Notice a few of them like that. Pretty interesting, actually. I think I'm down here. Let's see. We'll find out. This is definitely a place I would have to camp one day. This kind of reminds me of Blue Jay Campground. If you're watching any of my older videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. From 2021 and earlier. I used to go to the Blue Jay Campground area a lot. Ooh, a little canyon live oak. It does remind me a lot of Blue Jay Campground. Let's see. Some water running down there. So here's the falls picnic area. Should be pretty close to where I'm parked. Excuse me. Had to kind of clear my throat there a little bit. Let's see. Let's see. See if I can find where I'm parked. Definitely not used to this campground yet. Pretty sure I'm near it. Actually, Actually, that's where I came from. So I'm actually parked over this way, I think. I can see where the ranger kiosk is. Alright. Let's see if I find it this time. Alright. So you see I'm still kind of wandering through the campground. I even had somebody asking me for directions to get to a certain campsite. I was kind of dumbfounded how to answer. I felt bad. Look at this monster Jeffrey. That's a nice big tree. Jeffrey pine. Look at his old coast live oak right here. Look at the big trunk on this one. This used to be a much larger tree though, I think. There's the exit sign right there. I'm going to follow that. Look at the trunk on this old coast live oak. This thing is massive. Camps 23 through 28. So if you're ever by this area, take a look at the massive trunk on this coast live oak. And I think it used to be much larger. It looks like a piece of it broke off. This used to be an absolutely gargantuan tree. You can see where a piece broke off. Wow. Coast live oaks ain't no joke. I'll tell you. Yeah, some really nice Jeffrey pines and Coulter pines in this campground area. Very nice. Large old trees. Yeah, I can see where I'm parked. I'm just right over there. Really close now. What a beautiful campground. Definitely got to get myself more familiar with this area. Honestly, this could be my Blue Jay 2.0. This could be a place I come to regularly. There's Arroyo. I think this is Arroyo Seco Creek, I believe. That's flowing. There's a huge cottonwood in there too. I don't know if it's dead or it hasn't leafed out yet. By now, most of the trees should be leafing out. I think I see buds on it opening up, so that might be, I think I see buds swelling on it, so that might just be dormant. It's a big cottonwood, Fremont cottonwood that is. Let's go ahead and cross the little creek here. All right. Okay. So, this is where I'm parked. These beautiful southern coast live oaks right here. So we'll take a look down here. Came from that way. So I want to see what's going on over here. Basically be the conclusion of my video, pretty much coming up on this clip here. But look at the creek going very nicely through here. Very nicely. And these are all royal willows here too, Salix lasiolipus. We got some nice flow going here. Very nice to see. And then some of these little taller trees here. This is white alder right here, Ulmus rhombifolia. Hasn't really leafed out yet. Again, today is April 25th, so it won't be much longer. They just tend to leaf out a little bit later than other trees here in the mountains. Yeah, that's almost rhombifolia. Like I said, the leaf buds are starting to get bigger, so they should be opening up pretty soon. Yeah, they're starting to open up a little bit. But yeah, we've got beautiful white alders here. Some larger ones on this side. Go over there, take a look at them really quickly. Here we are, right at the other end of the parking lot. So, these shorter, small trees, these are mostly arroyo willows here, Salix lasiolopus. However, it's much larger ones that are just barely starting to leaf out. First few leaves are starting to open up. Those are some bigger ones over there. And if you can't really see through the camera too well, but through there's some pretty large trunked alder trees in there. That's Alnus rhombifolia, beautiful white alder. Haven't been around too many of those lately. Kind of miss being around those because I've always loved white alder trees. I always thought they were just so incredibly awesome. But yeah, kind of see a little bit. You can see some of the trunks through there. Those are white alders, and a lot of beautiful royal willow, and of course the beautiful southern coast live oak, all lined up in this really beautiful area of Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. So this is basically going to do it for me. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you really enjoyed this one, and hope to see you on an adventure next week. Thanks for watching, and enjoy.